Hashtag Black Lives Matter. The life expectancy of a black trans woman is 35 years. The average income of a black trans person is less than $10,000. Trans people are denied jobs, housing, and health care just for living in their truths. We fight in the name of Ayanna Stanley Jones, killed by Detroit police at the age of 7 years old, who never got to graduate from elementary school. We fight in the name of Mike Brown, who was killed by Officer Darren Williams weeks before starting college. We fight in the name of Islan Nettles, a 21-year-old black trans woman who was pummeled to death outside a New York City police station in Harlem. We fight in the name of Tarika Wilson, who was killed by an Ohio police officer while holding one of her babies and will never get to embrace any of her 6 children again. Can I have your names, please?
Zoe Mohammed.
Milan Kamorda.
Thank you very much. So what is your opinion of police brutality in New York City?
Okay. So, like, having an older brother and living with my dad, like, I think it's really disgusting to see them treat, like, black people so horribly, and anyone who's, like, non-cisgendered white. It's, like, I don't think that they should give these people without proper training and obviously some, like, racial issues, like, guns.
That's a very good point.
I still don't understand how so many people are allowing this to happen in like so many different places, because as many eyes are on these cops and they just keep doing it, nothing keeps happening. I don't get it. I don't understand. I can't comprehend.
Yeah. No. What is your name?
I'm Indy.
Indy.
Yeah, Darlin.
Nice.
Indy Darlin.
Indy Darlin. When did you come to New York?
About 4 years ago, when Occupy started.
Oh, sweet.
So,
you were part of the protest.
Yeah, I actually have an international article about being sexually assaulted by a police officer.
Wow.
I mean, if you go online to research it, it's NYPD officer confiscates OWS flyer and gropes protesters. The name of the article. It's how you find it online.
Okay, great.
Yeah. So, but you know, it's cops. You know, yeah, there's been with everything with the Eric Garner, Mike Brown. I came back from Detroit when Trayvon Martin got killed. And it just goes to show you that even though cops have these cameras and everything on them now, it doesn't really matter because they still think that they're above the law. I mean, remember when all the cops turned their backs on the mayor?
Yes.
You know, when the mayor was like, well, we want to, kind of make the line between the civilians and the police force a little bit like closer. We don't want it to be such a we're above you kind of thing. I kind of feel like the reason why they turn their backs a little bit is because they want to maintain that hierarchy. They want to maintain that authoritarianism. I mean, we don't really live, it's a police state. It's like more of a militia, like they forget that they're here for us. They forget they're here to serve us. I was getting off the train the other day on Wall Street and there were people in full fucking tack gear, the dogs and everything. And now the thing is, us as a society, we've gotten so used to the fear that they're instilling. It's called conditioning. It's a mind control technique. I researched Project MK Ultra and all that stuff. And throughout the years, they just keep putting out these movies that you cannot go over the state and this, that, and they're instilling fear in our hearts to where we're not going to stand up and say something and we accept it as right because they've been constantly showing it to us that that's the way it is, but it shouldn't be that way.
Do you think protesting is working?
No, I don't.
Why don't you think it's working?
Because it's still going on. If protesting was working, then we probably wouldn't be having this conversation, and there'd be an extra question saying how has protested affected, et cetera, instead of do you think it's working?
I think the opposite, considering I protest so much. Like, I think that the only way to get things done is to continuously work towards it. And protesting, like, even if there are no immediate effects, but it gets the word out and makes people stop and look and say, what are you doing? And it, like, makes people want to look it up and see what's going on. I think that's, like, as far as we can go is be effective for now.
Do you think protesting is working? Because over the years, protest has led to great social change.
Yeah.
For now, the police have different tactics. Like, for example, those gates.
We're never here until Occupy we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
They use it as a tactic to herd everybody together as a form of crowd control. So,
Yeah.
they're using tools that they didn't have like in the 60s, 70s.
Yeah, and it makes it a lot harder for people to protest, especially now. And if we were to actually, do a revolution that involved fighting, I feel like it's almost too late for that because they have all these drones now. I mean, the only way to really beat the system at this point is if we hack into FEMA or something like that, or hack into all the drones, because we could have an army full of people, but that's not going to matter if there's one person who knows how to get a kill streak on Call of Duty behind a fucking drone control. It could just wipe us all out.
Yeah. Do you think social media is a better form of protesting now in the 21st century?
I think social media can be incredibly helpful. Like almost everyone has access to it, and it can tell you so much, but it also allows people to be incredibly rude without facing any criticism. I'm a feminist, and I don't think it's a dirty word, but most people do. And I read someone who did say that they're a feminist, and they were called the C word. I don't like using it, but all over the internet, and she was called a whore and things like that. And it's just because she's a feminist. So I think it gives people the right to say all of these things because there are no repercussions.
And what do you think about social media as the big one?
I believe it's a really, really, really influential platform for people that are educated enough to have an opinion on the subject. But then again, the ignorant people that are in the world still exist on social media, and it's even worse on social media if they get involved because it goes out of proportion. People start believing what they say, et cetera, et cetera.
Do you think social media is a new form of protest?
Yeah, definitely. It's a way to make people more aware. It's a way to, it's mass broadcasting what needs to be done. If it wasn't for the help with social media and things like that, then there wouldn't be so many people coming to, the certain occupiers or the police brutality things that we did in Grand Central. If it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have known out about it when I was in Detroit. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have come all the way back so fast. I wouldn't have known. So it definitely is a help, but at the same time, it's a detriment because they can get their hands into it and know what we're doing. We do this thing called Occupy Weed Street where, we'll meet up and we'll go smoke outside of Mayor de Blasio's house or something. But, if the cops know about it, by the time we go to our place to smoke, there's already 50 cops there, because of our Facebook page. So, I mean, it's always the good with the bad. Anytime, it's like science. Anytime you make progress, there's 50,000 more things that you need to do,
So I'm going to go on a limb and assume that each of you have experienced being either harassed or brutalized by the police.
Mm-hmm.
Can you give me the worst story or the one that immediately pops into your mind?
Sure. Over the summer, just before school ended, I was ticketed for using my school Metro card to go to a doctor's appointment. I had my state ID, my student card, and my school ID, and they still gave me a ticket, and they stopped me, and they it's probably not yours. They questioned my age, even though I had a state ID. They thought it was fake. They threatened to take my ID away from me, and I didn't I fought the ticket, and I didn't have to pay for it, but I just thought it was disgusting that I watched a bunch of other people do it and go through, and the only other person they stopped was another black man.
You have been harassed and assaulted by the police.
I fell asleep over at the McDonald's over here one time. When I went through a sexual assault when I was intoxicated walking back from a corporate party, and they were drawing all this blood from me and everything, make sure that I was safe, and I ended up falling asleep in front of the McDonald's right there. And I woke up to someone grabbing my chest, and the paramedic even admitted that she dug her nails into my chest, and I wasn't waking up. I'm like, you don't do that. So I woke up. First thing I did was a defensive maneuver, and I went like this, and blocked her hand off. All of a sudden, I'm attacked by 4 cops. I ended up getting strapped down to a gurney and sent to Bellevue Hospital because they were saying I was mentally unstable and stuff like that, just to get their fucking quota. It's happened so many times. There was one time I got arrested back when I was occupying Trinity Church, and he was like, I really didn't want to have to arrest you, but I got to pay my light bills this month. And then to top it off, when we went into the station, the dude was like, oh, Bill, yeah, you were saying you needed to pay those bills, huh? You got that collar you needed. Yeah, so it's really, it comes down to, they're kind of being forced, by the city, because obviously when the cops stopped doing their job, crime rate didn't go up. Traffic crime didn't go up. Nothing fucking happened. Nothing. We were fine.
And I've gotten the slurs. I was shopping one day and they thought I stole something. I didn't, but the security guard in there, he was like, where do you live? And I'm like, in Harlem. He's like, stay in your neighborhood. And I was like, all right, thanks.